Welcome back to the Marvel Movie Minute, a daily podcast which we disassemble a film from the Marvel Cinematic Universe into 1-minute segments and then examine it in obsessive and occasionally hilarious detail. I'm Kyle Olson from the Swashbuckling Ladies Debate Society podcast.
Hey, and I'm Rob Cabasco, and Kyle.
Yes, sir.
Did you know that the first airline meals were pre-packed cold lunch boxes served in October of 1918 on a flight from London to Paris?
1918?
1918! Think about that for a second. Over 100 years ago, right? Yeah. So little cold packed lunches. Go back about, let's fast forward about 18 years. 1936, United Airlines introduces the first world's test flight kitchen where United employees prepare hot meals, including fried chicken and scrambled eggs. In the 1950s, you saw a whole renaissance of airline meals.
So hold, pause for a second. That plane must have smelled terrible.
Well, I think the kitchen, the first flight kitchen, I'm not sure. Part of it, I think, was on the ground getting the food onto the plane.
Okay.
So it was. There was.
So was it like a full?
No,
I remember Ellen DeGeneres had a whole bit about airline food that they bring you out a steak and it has grill marks. She's like, as if there's a grill in the back of the plane. How they like them?
No, of course not.
Two more, Charlie.
Exactly. Well, so, and they're always trying all these different things. So in the 1950s, you see they start to, it's finely adorned place settings with actual china, all this stuff that they're using. But this leads to the Great Sandwich War of 1954. Do you know about this?
I don't know about this. What side did you take in the Great Sandwich War?
Nobody knows about that. Okay, so Scandinavian Airlines, known as SAS, they started serving open-faced sandwiches to passengers on Atlantic flights. The United States threatened to revoke SAS's carrier license if the Scandinavian airline didn't stop serving these free sandwiches. Why? Because these sandwiches violated the International Air Transport Association rules and that they were not closed as an American sandwich is.
Wow. So it was indecent that the sandwich was just exposed?
Something about the bread, because, so then here's how they resolved it. They had to pay a fine, and they had to promise to follow the rule to leave at least a square inch of bread visible on those sandwiches.
Wow.
I don't want to tell you about you. Listen, this little tidbit is courtesy of an article by Michelle Herman in Reader's Digest. Good digestion is also for the brain.
Trademark.
That should be their slogan. Anyway, why am I talking about airline meals?
We're talking about food in the sky here on minute 41 of Iron Man 2 from 2010, directed by Mr. Jon Favreau. But to delve into a subject this deep and this heady, we couldn't do it alone. No, we had to tag in some help from our friends over the next reel. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us for the next couple episodes is Mr. Steve Sarmento.
Yay!
Hey, guys.
There he is.
There I am, ready to help out and delving into, I don't know what kind of nonsense you guys are bringing this time, but I'm ready to be part of it.
Flying
food. It is that.
So we're picking up where we left off, which is... Oh, wait, before we get started, I should say, now that we're having guests, I usually ask guests, so what is your history and feeling about Iron Man 2?
My feeling and history with Iron Man 2, I think this is one I saw in the theater, and again, this is early MCU, so there's a lot of the familiar pieces. So going back and revisiting this one, I didn't have fond memories of it. I remember they had problems, and I think it still has problems. There's, nice to see bits and pieces there. In this minute, we're going to see, Gary Shandling, his character, which, comes to have a much larger role. So there's those pieces, but it still feels like the early clunky MCU for me.
Mm-hmm. That's very true. So we'll pick up where we left off, which is in the cell. Man, it would have been really nice if the algorithm had gone just a couple seconds further. Because
half a second.
On his last line, so we finally get the end of what that last line is. And I know you guys have been waiting patiently. Like, what? How does that sentence end? So Ivan says, "Hey, Tony, before you go, palladium in the chest, that's a painful way to die."
Yikes.
Yeah.
Yes, we were left hanging, waiting for it's a painful way to do what? To sit there in tidy whities, Russians in tidy whities in prison cells.
and Tony takes an extraordinary long time to walk out of the room. Now I know we're watching this minute by minute, but it's like, boy, they really just kept that camera rolling. Like, it just walks to the door, stands, turns, knocks, waits, door opens, bunch of French police in there. They say something to him. He walks out. Door closes. I was like, oh my God, just cut. John, just cut.
It's the weight, though. It's the weight of the realization that, Tony's secret, that Vanko knows that. And it's sort of like his secret, his mortality. He's not the only one that knows. And so it to me, it's that follow up to, oh crap, there's another suit out there too. He knows some stuff about. So I think they tried to give it that weight. But yeah, in isolation in this moment, it's just like, come on, Tony, just go. Get out of there. Cut. Start the scene as soon as you can, or as late as you can, and end it as early as you can. And
here
it's a full 13 seconds, which story mode is an eternity. So,
yeah. So he finally walks out, and then they shut the door, and then Ivan laughs to himself. And it was weird because I'm like, why did you wait to do the sinister laugh till no one's around? And then I realized, oh wait, this is him just sitting there like, man, I totally nailed that. Like that shark's net thing. Oh man, like I totally burned that guy, man.
Well, he also it's his character knowing he's got him.
Yeah,
right.
Yes.
Like where he actually wanted him in terms of psychological warfare.
Right.
Yeah, he won.
Yes.
Yeah, and so that's the end of our little playlet. That very short thing, and so we move on to other things. So we cut to Mr. Gary Shandling. So we're watching a broadcast from MSNBC, and as I was looking at the frame and what was going on, I thought, man, this would be a really good day to sell intraday stock. At the bottom of the screen, intraday, it's just crashing. I was like, sell. But then I sort of dug into it and like, intraday means within the day. Right. It's in the financial world, the term is shorthand to describe securities that trade on the markets during regular business hours. These securities include stocks and exchange trade funds. So that probably was showing stark things, dropping, or maybe the stock market crashed because Iron Man was attacked.
Yes.
Well, going well.
I dug into that a little bit myself as well, because I didn't know what intraday was. I thought it was like, Initech or something like that they just made it up. But then it's the daily trading. So then I went back and looked to see where things were. And right around 2010, October-ish, that's where the Dow was within that range. Because I looked at those numbers and said, where are they timing this to? All that, because, stock market will fluctuate all the time. And it was... Yeah, the high of that day it shows is 10,500, and in like mid to late 2010, that's about where stock market was. So,
all right. So it was life reflecting art because this came out in May.
Yes.
So then by then it was like, if the movies are showing it, then we have to do that too.
And that's interesting because if you look at that, so when you see that, it shows the Dow right now within this clip at 10,390.
Yeah.
It's amazing to compare this to the volatility of the stock market today. Because I looked into this, right?
Yes.
The last time the stock market, the Dow, was under 10,000 was October 26, 2004. Meaning that, so it had that range. You might say to yourself, well, hey, Rob, what is it today? As of today, the stock Dow is at 28,335.
Yes.
Really an amazing 10 years.
Yes.
You can't even, anyway.
Yeah.
Even with everything.
So Senator Stern then is going off about, obviously he was brought on to do his own color commentary on what just happened in Monaco. So he's saying, it's just unbelievable. It proves that the genie is out of the bottle and this man has no idea what he's doing. He thinks of the Iron Man weapon as a toy. I was at a hearing where, in fact, Mr. Stark was adamant that these suits can't exist anywhere else, don't exist anywhere else, never will exist anywhere else for 5 to 10 years, and here we are in Monaco realizing, these suits exist now.
Yes.
Oh, and you know what? He's right.
He's right. Right?
He may be Hydra, but he's right.
We don't know he's Hydra yet. But spoiler for, 5 films from now. But, that to start the scene... with that, to me, it follows up on the emotional beat with Tony of his conversation with Vanko of like, we're just continuing this downward spiral of everything falling apart for Tony of, this guy knows my secret. Now I'm on the plane, all of that. And we've got a senator, calling me out on the fact that I, claimed to the public this wouldn't happen. And now it did. So Tony's just on, he's on the decline. Things are getting worse for this dude.
Right. And the sharks will come. And here we are. First bite goes to Senator Stern.
Yes.
Exactly.
So that as we pull back, we realize that this is actually being broadcast on the plane that Stark is flying back. So Tony and Pepper, actually at this point, only Pepper is sitting there watching this footage. And then Tony walks in and sees happening and says, "Mute." And the TV mutes. Tony Stark in 2010 had voice control on his television. That's incredible. Like, man, my Siri is only maybe half the time it works on my Apple TV. Like, if I'm lucky.
And he didn't have to say, "Hey Google" or Alexa or "Hey Jarvis," mute TV. It was just mute. So what happens if he's in the middle of a conversation and he happens to use the word mute? Well, I guess it's like Alexa. You just mention Alexa, or if you're like me and you thought it was clever to change its activation keyword to computer, like Star Trek, and then you're talking to your wife about buying a new computer, and then she keeps piping up.
For any of those who are listening to this show on speakers, we apologize to all your smart devices who are suddenly listening now and very confused about what's going on.
I might bleep those out. I'll just bleep as we go along. Yeah, that'll be good.
Well, I remember that was Burger King did the viral marketing where they had it set up so that they would say whatever smart device, what's the best tasting hamburger, and they had it set so it would respond that way. And then, of course, that lasted about a day. And then all the hackers got into it and put the most filthy, inappropriate messages that would respond to that. So, the future's here. It's just not evenly distributed.
Hey, we should know, too, is this continues another great LG plug for LG.
Oh, yes. That's right. Yes, of course.
Smartphone, they make the TV sets in the StarkJet.
And this is where you drop in the cha-ching sound.
Yeah.
Another product placement here in Iron Man 2. So Tony then... It comes in after he mutes the television and says, he should be giving me a medal. That's the truth. And then he's carrying something, and he sets down this tray in front of Pepper, so between the two of them. And she says, "What is that?" And he opens up, and it says, "This is your in-flight meal." And it's weird. I can't exactly figure out what it was supposed to be. I originally thought maybe it was a frittata, but then when I looked up what a frittata was, no, it doesn't look like that. No. Is it a burrito?
Okay,
is it an omelet?
Is it an omelet?
It's an omelet, but I'm going to double up on Steve's Star Trek reference here. It looks like the omelet that Kirk is making in his little cabin in the Nexus. It's Star Trek Generation. Wow, which I can't believe I pulled that out of the air, right? But it looks like a weird... It's spinach, but the spinach is fused with the egg. I don't know what he made.
It's a little burnt on one end, too, and I don't know how, with all the great technology in that jet, that he would have uneven heating elements in there to cook something that it would be burnt on one end and not the other, but it's clearly semi-edible.
Is this continuing the metaphor of the fall of Tony Stark? Like, that... Has we finally seen something Tony can't do besides maintaining a serious adult relationship? Like, he also can't cook? Okay. Like, he can drive a race car, fly, save the world, but can't cook.
The one thing you also get from this, too, is Gwyneth Paltrow does a great job just exuding just total disgust and sighing. And she, I think part of this scene really is all about just Tony realizing he's disappointed her. Yeah. In this moment of her, when she's watching this newscast of Senator Stern, and she's like, "Okay, how are we going to fix this? I'm the one now in charge of this. How do I fix this?" And it is just part of that character arc of that. He's concerned, obviously, of what his actions mean to her.
Well, he's also, pushing for this escape, and I think it's that looming, mortality there of, I've screwed up, but I don't know how much time I have left, so I'd rather take, Pepper out on a retreat. And she thinks it's just Tony being his typical, I'm going to avoid responsibility for what I've done, when it's really him trying to find that moment that he can have with her. But she's, carrying the weight of Stark Industries now, and she's got to fix the mess that he's made, which again is that reminder of everything that's falling apart for him.
Now, obviously, they're about to have a conversation, which will spill over next week, because literally that's where the minute comes to an end, is on the reveal of whatever this bizarre breakfast thing is. But it feels like there was a earlier conversation they hadn't had, that it was, basically starting with, "I told you this was a terrible idea, but no, you had to go off and put on your fancy suit and drive around the car."
Right. You think this is a little makeup breakfast?
Maybe. I think there's been a long, awkward silence until this point.
Oh, well, he's gone for, what did he say? Where do you think I was for the last 3 hours?
We'll find that out.
That's coming in the next minute.
Oh, is
coming up in the next minute.
Yeah.
But I mean, think about it. They sat down. She didn't even get to eat a bite at the restaurant that they were at.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Chaos exploded, and then that was the end of that. So he's hungry. He knows that.
According to the timeline, this is the next day.
Oh,
So this isn't
The
the
next
same.
day.
This isn't the same day. So
they didn't just bail. Oh, I
Well,
thought.
he-
No, they didn't just bail. So this is I know the timeline gets a little wiggly here, but like it's essentially it's supposed to be the next day because it's like he's already been processed and Evan's in jail and processed,
True.
and Tony is cleaned up.
Yes, that's true.
So it's where like this and that happened on the same day. So like what we're going to see over the next 5 minutes is essentially the same day. It's like up to you whether you want to believe that or not, but that's what the thing. Like I say, it gets a lot happens in a very short amount of time. So
Gotcha.
But
oh wow, so I guess we're looking forward to what the omelet tastes like.
We will see.
Yeah, in minute 42, we'll find out. Is the burnt end really burnt? Is the uncooked end really uncooked?
Does it require seasoning, salt?
Yeah,
what does Pepper put on? Does she carry pepper, hot sauce? What does she carry with her?
But if you happen to know what Tony Stark's omelet recipe is, you can tell us that on Discord. We have our very own Discord server, and we'd be happy to know what you think he puts in. Does he put cayenne pepper in? Does he put garlic in? We don't know, but it's a great place to have those kind of conversations. So if you go to nextshow.com and scroll down to the bottom, find the big button that says Discord and click on that, you can join our community for free and hop in and talk about that or any other Marvel or movie-related things you would like to discuss. So make sure to be back here for minute 42 as we get into a reprisal of a favorite episode from the Incredible Hulk season. You are not going to want to miss it because we don't know what's going to happen. So be back here for minute 42. Enough said.
Bye.